Supreme Commander Tay stood in front of the big war room table. The table showed a small blue planet floating in the air. The blue light from the planet made his scaly skin shine. 5 other alien leaders sat around the table, watching him. "Earth," Tay said in a strong voice. "This will be our next target." The room was quiet. Everyone knew Tay had won many battles before. He had taken over 23 planets for the Varix Empire. No one ever questioned his choices, but today was different. Admiral Sue, his trusted helper for many years, blinked her 4 eyes one after another. Among their kind, this meant she did not agree. "Supreme Commander," she said carefully, "why Earth? It has few metals we need. There are better planets closer to us." Tay zoomed in on the floating blue planet. Now they could see green land and white clouds. "It's not always about what we can take, Admiral," Tay said. He pointed to different spots on Earth. "Look here, these humans have no single world army. They fight each other over small things. Their weapons use old-style gunpowder and simple rockets. They cannot even leave their solar system." He smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "They will be easy to defeat." General Han, who had helped Tay win many battles, leaned forward. The metal eye in his face made a soft whirring sound as it focused on Earth. "That's what worries me," Han said. "When something looks too easy, it often isn't." Tay laughed. "You worry too much, old friend. Our ships can travel between stars. Their fastest ships can barely reach their own moon. The Galactic Council keeps asking why we spend so much on our army." Tay continued. "A quick win will show them why. We need more planets under our control." Officer June, the youngest alien at the table, raised a hand to speak. "Commander, my team studied human history. They do something strange when attacked. Instead of giving up when facing stronger enemies, they fight harder. Even their small countries have defeated much bigger armies in the past." Tay's scales turned dark blue with anger. "Their strange habits don't matter. Our technology is too strong for them. One of our smallest ships could destroy their biggest city." The room fell silent again. No one wanted to make the commander angrier. "The plan is set," Tay said firmly. "We attack in 3 days, meeting over." As everyone got up to leave, Admiral Sue stayed behind. She had worked with Tay for 30 years. She knew when he was making a mistake. "Sir," she said quietly when they were alone, "our word researchers found a human saying I think is important. It's about poking a hornet's nest. Hornets are small insects that—" "I don't need lessons about earth bugs," Tay shouted, slamming his 6-fingered hand on the table. The image of Earth shook. "I've made my choice. Get the ships ready." Sue nodded and left, her 4 eyes looking down. She had a bad feeling about this mission. 3 days later, Tay stood on the bridge of his command ship. Around him, officers worked at their stations preparing for the jump to Earth. "Status report," Tay ordered. Communications Officer Bay looked up from her screen. "All 5,000 ships report ready, Commander." "Weapons?" Tay asked. "All charged and ready," answered Weapons Officer Q. "Earth has no defenses that can touch our ships." Tay nodded, pleased. This would be his easiest victory yet. He looked at the main screen, showing their home planet growing smaller behind them. Soon they would add another world to their empire. "Begin the jump sequence," he ordered. General Han approached, standing beside Tay as the stars on the screen began to stretch into lines of light. "You still worry too much," Tay said to Han without looking at him. "It's my job to worry," Han replied. The old general had seen many battles. "These humans, they're different. Did you read Officer June's full report?" "I skimmed it," Tay admitted. "Something about them being good at working together when threatened?" Han nodded. "Not just that, they adapt quickly. In just 100 years they went from simple flying machines to landing on their moon. That's very fast progress. And in those same 100 years, what did we do?" Tay asked with a smile. "We mastered faster-than-light travel, built an empire, spanning 46 star systems, and developed weapons that can crack planets." Han couldn't argue with that. The gap between Varix and human technology was enormous. "Just be careful," Han said finally. "Sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one with nothing to lose." The jump engines hummed louder. The ship shook slightly, as it prepared to tear a hole through space. "All ships prepare for light speed," Officer Bay announced. Tay sat in his command chair, excited for the battle ahead. In his mind, he was already rehearsing his victory speech to the Galactic Council. "Jump in 3 or 2, 1. Bay counted down. The stars stretched into bright lines, and the massive fleet vanished into the darkness of space. 1 day later, the fleet reappeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. From this distance, Earth was just a tiny blue dot next to its even smaller moon. "Activate cloaking systems," Tay ordered. "I want all ships invisible before we get closer." One by one, the 5,000 warships vanished from sight. Not even Earth's best radar systems would detect them now. "Send in the scout ships," Tay said. "I want to know where their biggest military bases are." Small, fast ships broke away from the main fleet, heading toward Earth to gather information. In his private room, Tay reviewed the battle plan once more. They would hit all major cities at once. The humans would have no time to organize. Their leaders would surrender within hours. His door chimed. "Enter," he called. Strategic Officer June walked in, carrying a data pad. He looked nervous. "Sir, the scout ships sent back their first reports," June said. "I thought you should see this right away." Tay took the pad and looked at the images. They showed huge cities sprawling across vast areas. Millions of vehicles moved along complex road systems. The humans had built impressive structures, some reaching high into the sky. "They are more developed than we expected," June said carefully. "And there's something else. They're detecting unusual signals." "What signals?" Tay asked, looking up from the pad. "The humans are broadcasting everything. Music, stories, news, arguments. Thousands of channels. They share all their knowledge freely on something called the Internet. It connects most of their world." Tay handed back the pad. "So, that just means they talk too much." "Sir," June said hesitantly, "my team is detecting signs they might be working on early AI systems. If they're this connected and developing artificial intelligence—" "They're still centuries behind us," Tay interrupted. "Nothing changes, we attack as planned." As June left, Tay turned to look out his window at the distant blue planet. Soon it would belong to the Variks. Operation Easy Victory was about to begin. No one in the invasion force could have predicted what would happen next. The Variks ships moved silently toward Earth. From his command chair, Supreme Commander Tay watched the big blue planet grow larger on the main screen. His plan was simple: attack all major cities at the same time. The humans would not have time to organize. "All ships report ready for attack," said Communications Officer Bay. "We are completely invisible to Earth's detection systems." Tay nodded, pleased. "Show me the landing targets again." A map of Earth appeared on the screen. Red dots marked the places where Variks ships would land. The dots covered cities on every continent. "We will hit 200 of their largest cities at once," explained Strategic Officer June. "Our first ships will land in the city called Seoul. You will lead that attack personally, Commander." "Perfect," said Tay. "The humans will be completely surprised. Their leaders will have no choice but to surrender." Admiral Sue stood nearby, still looking worried. "Commander, I've been studying more human history. They have faced surprise attacks before. They call them Pearl Harbor and 9/11. These attacks did not make them surrender. They made humans fight harder." Tay sighed loudly. "Admiral, your concern is noted, but this is not a small attack on one place. We are hitting their whole planet at once. Our technology is hundreds of years ahead of theirs. This will be over quickly." General Han joined the conversation. "Sir, my troops are ready, but I have a question. What if the humans refuse to surrender?" "Then we show them our power," Tay said simply. "We can destroy entire cities from orbit if needed. But it won't come to that. No sensible species fights when they clearly cannot win." The bridge fell silent, as everyone returned to their work. The attack would begin in 1 hour. The first wave of Variks ships entered Earth's atmosphere at exactly the same time all around the planet. The ships were huge, some as big as 20 human buildings stacked together. Each one carried hundreds of Variks soldiers and their fighting machines. In Seoul, people stopped and pointed at the sky as enormous dark shapes appeared through the clouds. Traffic stopped. People took out their phones and started recording. No one ran at first, they were too shocked. From his ship, Tae watched the city through special cameras. "They're just standing there," he said, surprised. "They don't even know what's happening." Then the Varix ships fired their first warning shots. Bright purple beams of energy hit empty areas near major buildings. The energy weapons left smoking. Holes in the ground! Now people began to run. Cars crashed into each other as drivers tried to escape. The sounds of screams reached the ships high above. "Begin the landing," Tae ordered. Hundreds of smaller ships left the main vessels. They crashed through buildings and landed on streets and in parks. Doors opened, and Varix soldiers marched out. They were tall, with scaly skin and six-fingered hands. Each soldier carried an energy rifle that could burn through metal. "Sir," reported Field Captain Jin from the ground, "we have landed successfully. Humans are running away from our troops. No organized resistance yet." "Excellent," said Tae. "Secure the main government buildings as planned. I will join you in 1 hour." All around the world, the same scene was playing out. Varix ships landed in New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, and hundreds of other cities. The aliens took control of TV and radio stations. They broadcast the same message in each country's language. "People of Earth, we are the Varix Dominion. Your planet is now under our control. Surrender all weapons, do not resist. Anyone who fights will be destroyed. Your leaders must come forward to accept our terms." In Seoul, Supreme Commander Tae prepared to land. He put on his armor and checked his personal shield generator. Then he joined his personal guard in a small landing ship. "This is a historic day," he told his guards. "The conquest of Earth will be remembered as one of our easiest victories." The ship descended toward the center of Seoul. Through the window, Tae could see Varix soldiers setting up control points on major streets. Some buildings were on fire. Human police cars sat abandoned. The ship landed in a large public square. Armed guards went out first to secure the area. Then Tae stepped onto Earth soil for the first time. He breathed the alien air through his mask and looked around at the human city. "Not bad," he said. "They've built some impressive structures for such a primitive species." A group of Varix officers walked over to greet him. Field Captain Jin led them. "Welcome to Earth, Supreme Commander," Jin said with a salute. "We have secured this area and the main government building as ordered." "Any resistance?" Tae asked. Jin hesitated. "Some. Local police tried to fight but were quickly defeated. Their weapons cannot penetrate our armor. But sir, there's something strange happening." "What do you mean?" "The humans, they're watching us. Recording us with their devices," Jin explained, pointing to buildings where humans could be seen holding phones and cameras, and their military response is unusual. "Explain," Tae demanded. "We shut down their main communications networks as planned," Jin said. "But they're finding other ways to communicate. When we block their cell phones, they use older radio systems. When we jam those, they use even older methods. It's like they're prepared for this." "Impossible," Tae snapped. "They've never encountered an alien invasion before." "There's more," Jin continued. "Our sensors detect unusual movement patterns. Humans are gathering in small groups all across the city. Not running away, but organizing." Tae was about to respond when a loud explosion shook the ground nearby. 3 Varix soldiers disappeared in a ball of fire and smoke. "What was that?" Tae shouted. "I thought you said their weapons were ineffective." Intelligence Officer Du ran over, holding a data tablet. "Sir, that wasn't a military weapon. It appears to be something called a Molotov cocktail. A simple bomb, made from a bottle filled with fuel. Very primitive but effective against our troops if it hits the right spot." "Who threw it?" Tae demanded. "Not soldiers," Du said, looking confused. "Ordinary civilians. Young humans wearing masks to hide their faces." As they talked, more explosions erupted around the square. Varix soldiers fired back, but the humans had already disappeared into side streets and buildings. Tae's scales darkened with anger. "This is unacceptable. Find these humans and destroy them." Captain Jin sent troops to search the area, but they found no one. The humans seemed to know. the city better than any map could show. They used small passages between buildings and underground tunnels to move unseen. Back in his temporary command center, Tay received reports from other landing sites around the world. The pattern was the same everywhere. Initial landing was easy, but now humans were fighting back in ways the Variks hadn't expected. "Sir," reported Communications Officer Bay, "humans are sharing information globally using something called the Internet. We're jamming their official networks, but there are too many connections to block them all. They're learning our weaknesses and sharing them with each other." "Show me," Tay ordered. Bay displayed captured human communications on a screen. Tay watched in disbelief as humans posted videos showing how Varik soldiers moved, where their armor was weakest, and how their weapons worked. Others shared maps showing Varik's positions and suggested attack plans. "Sir," Admiral Sue said carefully, "the humans are adapting faster than any species we've encountered before. They're learning about us in real time." As if to prove her point, the building shook as something exploded against the outer wall. "What now?" Tay demanded. "The humans are targeting our shield generators," reported General Han. "They've noticed the small cooling vents are a weak point. They're using simple projectile weapons to damage them." "Impossible," Tay muttered, but he was beginning to doubt his own words. A soldier rushed in. "Commander, humans have breached our outer defense line. They're using some kind of sound weapon that hurts our troops." "Sound weapon?" Tay asked, confused. "Yes, sir. They discovered our hearing is sensitive to certain frequencies. They're using devices that make painful sounds. Our soldiers can't stay in those areas." For the first time since the invasion began, Supreme Commander Tay felt something he rarely experienced: doubt. This was supposed to be an easy victory, but the humans were not behaving like any species they had conquered before. "Sir," said Intelligence Officer Du, "there's something else you need to see. The humans have captured one of our damaged ships. They're taking it apart, studying it." "How long until our reinforcements arrive?" Tay asked. 3 days, sir." Tay looked at the map showing Varik's positions around the world. They had successfully landed in all target cities, but in every location, humans were fighting back with increasing effectiveness. "We need to change our strategy," Tay admitted finally. "These humans are more dangerous than we thought." As the command center shook from another explosion, Tay realized that Operation Easy Victory might not be so easy after all. 3 days after the Varik ships landed on Earth, Supreme Commander Tay sat in his underground command center in Seoul. The room was filled with screens showing battles in cities around the world. Nothing was going as planned. "How is this happening?" Tay demanded, hitting the table with his fist. "How are these humans fighting so well without central leadership?" Admiral Sue stood beside him, looking at the battle reports. "Sir, the humans are using a type of fighting they call guerrilla warfare. They don't fight us directly, they hit quickly and then disappear." "But how are they coordinating these attacks?" "We blocked their military communications," Tay said. Intelligence Officer Du joined them, holding a tablet. "Sir, they're using the internet in ways we didn't expect. They created new networks after we blocked the main ones. They're sharing information, pictures of our ships, details about our weapons. Everyone with a phone is a spy and a reporter." Watched a screen showing a Varik's patrol walking down a street in London. Suddenly water poured down on them from above. The water contained a chemical that stuck to their breathing masks and blocked their vision. While the soldiers tried to clear their masks, humans attacked with simple weapons. "Our energy shields are designed to stop high-energy weapons," Admiral Sue explained. "But the humans are using simple physical attacks. Stones, arrows, and bullets can pass right through our shields." Officer Bay called from her communications station. "Sir, we're getting reports that humans have captured some of our smaller ships. They're taking them apart, learning how they work." "Impossible," Tay shouted. "They can't understand our technology that quickly." "Sir," Officer Doe said quietly, "the humans have something they call open-source intelligence. When one person learns something, they share it with everyone. Millions of their scientists and engineers are working together to understand our technology." The room shook as an explosion hit the building above them. Dust fell from the ceiling. What was that? Tay demanded. The humans found this command. Center, General Han reported. They're attacking from all sides. Another explosion, stronger than the first, made the lights flicker. How did they find us? Tay asked. This location was secret. They used heat sensors, Han explained. They noticed our power generators give off more heat than human machines. They're learning to spot our technology. Tay stood up. We need to move to a new location. Send the order to prepare for... He was interrupted by a strange, painful sound. Everyone in the room covered their ears. What is that noise? Tay shouted, his scales turning pale with pain. Sound weapons, Admiral Sue explained through gritted teeth. The humans discovered our hearing is sensitive to certain frequencies. They're using speakers to create sounds that hurt us, but not them. Shut it off, Tay ordered. We can't, Communications Officer Bay said, looking at her screen. They're using hundreds of small devices. Our soldiers can't find them all. Tay made a quick decision. We're leaving now. Move to backup location 3. As they evacuated, Tay saw something that shocked him. Human civilians were fighting alongside soldiers. Old men stood next to young women. People in business clothes fought beside students. They weren't trained soldiers, but they fought with surprising skill. In the new command center, deeper underground, Tay called all his senior officers for a meeting. The mood was dark. Give me the numbers, Tay ordered. General Han displayed a map on the big screen. Sir, we've lost 30% of our ground forces in just 3 Earth days. 8 of our capital ships have been damaged by human attacks. How? Tay asked. Their weapons can't hurt our ships. They're not using conventional weapons, Han explained. They launched simple rockets carrying electromagnetic pulse devices. Our ships weren't expecting attacks from such primitive technology and didn't raise shields. Tay couldn't believe what he was hearing. What about our reinforcements? Strategic Officer June cleared his throat nervously. Sir, about that. We've lost contact with our orbital relay station. The humans, they used what they learned from our captured technology to build weapons that can reach orbit. They've destroyed our communication equipment. Impossible, Tay roared, but no one in the room disagreed with June's report. They had all seen how quickly the humans were learning and adapting. There's more, sir, Intelligence Officer Du said. We've intercepted human communications. They're not just fighting locally. They're working together globally. Countries that were enemies last week are now sharing weapons and information to fight us. And their factories, Captain Jin added. They're changing from making cars and phones to making weapons that work against us. They saw how our breathing masks can be damaged by certain chemicals, so now they're making those chemicals in massive amounts. Admiral Sue's 4 eyes looked at Tay with concern. Sir, I think we should consider a strategic withdrawal. We could regroup in orbit and plan a new approach. The suggestion made Tay's scales darken with anger and shame. No Varric's commander had ever retreated from a battle. It would ruin his reputation forever. No, he said firmly. We will not retreat. We will adapt too, double our forces on the ground. Bring in the heavy walkers. We'll show these humans what real power looks like. But as he gave the orders, Tay felt something he had never felt before in battle. Fear. These humans were different from any species they had ever fought. 1 week into the invasion, things were getting worse, not better. The heavy walkers, massive war machines that stood taller than human buildings, were now on the ground in major cities. But even they were facing problems. Sir, reported a field commander from New York. The humans are using their underground tunnels to move without being seen. They plant explosives under our walkers when they stop. 3 walkers have been damaged this way. From London. Sir, they're using their knowledge of the city to trap our troops. They block streets and then attack from buildings on both sides. From Tokyo. The humans have created jammers that block our communications. Our troops can't coordinate with each other. Tay listened to these reports with growing concern. He had called this Operation Easy Victory, but there was nothing easy about it. Sir, Admiral Sue said when they were alone, I've been studying human history more deeply. They have stories and movies about alien invasions. They've been thinking about how to fight beings like us for over 100 years. Fiction isn't battle training, Tay argued. No, but it prepared their minds, Sue explained. When we arrived, they weren't just shocked. They had already imagined this scenario. Some of them were mentally ready. Another explosion shook the command center. The humans were attacking again. The captives, Tay said suddenly. What are they doing with our captured soldiers? Intelligence officer. Dew checked his reports. That's another strange thing, sir. They're not hurting them, they're studying them. Learning about our biology, our technology, our language. They're treating injuries and keeping them alive. Why? Tay asked. We wouldn't do the same. I don't know, Doe admitted. But it's happening all over the world. They seem very interested in understanding us. General Han entered the room with fresh reports. His uniform was dirty and he looked tired. Sir, we have a new problem. The humans have figured out how our personal shields work. They've created weapons that can get through them. What kind of weapons? Tay asked. Simple ones, Han said. They fire small darts coated with chemicals that make us sleep. The darts are slow enough to pass through our shields, but fast enough to penetrate our scales. Tay stood up and walked to the map showing their positions around the world. In just 1 week, human forces had pushed them back in many cities. The red dots showing Varix-controlled areas were getting smaller. We're making mistakes because we don't understand these humans, Tay admitted finally. We thought they would surrender to superior technology. Instead, they're learning from us and fighting harder than any species we've encountered. The room fell silent. No one had ever heard Supreme Commander Tay admit a mistake before. New strategy, Tay announced. We need to understand our enemy better. Gather all information about human history, their wars, how they fight, and find out why they're working together so well when our report said they were divided. As his officers rushed to follow his orders, Tay stood alone looking at the battle map. For the first time in his military career, he faced the possibility of defeat. The thought was almost impossible to accept. These humans, he muttered to himself, they're not just fighters, they're learners, and they learn very, very quickly. Outside, the sounds of battle grew louder as human forces pressed their attack against the alien invaders. 1 Earth month into the invasion, Supreme Commander Tay stood before the few remaining members of his war council in the emergency bunker, deep beneath what had once been Pyongyang. The holographic displays showed a catastrophic reality. Over 60% of the Varix invasion force had been neutralized or captured. They're reverse engineering our technology, Intelligence Officer Dew reported, his voice hollow with disbelief. Not just using it, improving it. They've already developed countermeasures to our cloaking systems. Admiral Sue, now sporting a crude bandage over one of her 4 eyes, the result of a human sniper attack, nodded grimly. The humans call it rapid prototyping. They test, fail, adapt, and deploy new solutions in days rather than the months or years it would take our engineers. The bunker's power flickered, a reminder that human forces were getting closer to their position. The backup generators hummed to life automatically. And it's not just their technology adaptation, General Han added. Their social cohesion is unprecedented. Former enemy nations now fight side by side. They've united their scientific communities, manufacturing capabilities, even their economies, all focused on defeating us. Tay's scales had lost their luster, turning a dull gray as stress hormones flooded his system. What about the second wave of reinforcements? Have they made planetfall? The silence in the room was deafening. Finally, Strategic Officer June spoke. Sir, there will be no second wave. The humans have launched captured Varix weapons into orbit. They've created a defensive grid around their planet using our own technology. 3 of our capital ships were destroyed attempting to break through. Impossible, Tay whispered, but the word had lost all meaning. Everything about this invasion had defied possibility. Communications Officer Bay looked up from her console, her expression grim. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the humans. They're broadcasting on all our frequencies. Put it through, Tay ordered, his voice resigned. The holographic display shifted to show a human female in a military uniform. General Sun of the United Earth Defense Force, an organization that hadn't existed a month ago. Supreme Commander. Tay, she addressed him directly. Your invasion has failed. We offer you one chance to surrender. All your remaining forces must lay down weapons and submit to containment. We will treat your wounded according to our laws of war and work toward a diplomatic resolution to this conflict, Tay bristled. You offer us terms? We are the Varric's Dominion. We have conquered 100 worlds. General Sun's expression remained impassive. And yet you cannot conquer one. You have 24 hours to surrender, or we will show you what humanity does when truly provoked. So far we have been merciful. The transmission ended, leaving the War Council in stunned silence. She's bluffing, Tay said without conviction. They've exhausted their resources stopping our advance. Admiral Sue shook her head slowly. No, sir. Our intelligence suggests they've been holding back. They've been careful to minimize civilian casualties on both sides. They've been studying us. What do you mean? Tay demanded. The captured troops, General Han explained. The humans haven't been interrogating them for military intelligence. They've been learning about our biology, our psychology, our society. They're not just fighting a war, they're preparing for what comes after. As the reality of their situation sank in, Supreme Commander Tay made the most difficult decision of his career. Send the signal, he ordered quietly. We surrender. 6 Earth months later, Supreme Commander Tay, now stripped of his rank and wearing the simple gray tunic of a political prisoner, stood before the Galactic Council. The vast chamber, with representatives from over 300 spacefaring civilizations, buzzed with murmurs as the case of the failed Earth invasion was brought to order. High Counselor Min, a member of the ancient Eldar species, peered down at Tay from the central podium. Former Supreme Commander, you stand accused of initiating an unauthorized invasion of a pre-FTL civilization, violating Galactic Protocol 5.3, and subsequently losing over 80% of your military force to said civilization. How do you plead? The invasion was authorized by... Tay began. We're not interested in where you place the blame, interrupted Counselor Min. We're interested in understanding how this catastrophic military failure occurred. You actually invaded Earth, after all the warnings in our historical archives? A murmur rippled through the assembly. Tay's scales flushed with embarrassment. The intelligence available to us indicated the humans were divided, technologically primitive, and would surrender quickly when faced with superior technology. And yet, came a new voice, Counselor G of the Medusan Confederation. Within 6 of their months, these humans not only repelled your invasion but managed to capture enough of your technology to develop their own faster-than-light communication system, which is why we're all here today. The massive doors at the far end of the chamber swung open. A hush fell over the assembly as a delegation of humans entered, the first humans ever to set foot in the Galactic Council chambers. Leading them was General Sun, now serving as Earth's first ambassador to the galactic community. Behind her walked a team of human scientists, diplomats, and military personnel, a carefully chosen representation of Earth's diversity. The human delegation may approach, High Counselor Min announced. As they walked forward, Tay noticed something disturbing. Several council members from warrior cultures were showing signs of respect, even admiration, for these newcomers. Ambassador Sun, Counselor Min greeted her. The Council welcomes Earth's representatives and extends formal apologies for the unauthorized military action against your world. Sun bowed slightly. We accept your apology, High Counselor. Earth comes not seeking retribution, but partnership. Partnership, Tay blurted out before he could stop himself. After what we did? Sun turned to look at him, and to Tay's surprise he saw not hatred, but something like pity in her eyes. Former Commander Tay, she said calmly, your invasion was the best thing that could have happened to humanity. Within days, our nation set aside centuries of conflict to unite against a common threat. Our scientists shared breakthrough technologies they had kept secret, even from each other. Our industries retooled for innovation rather than consumer products. She turned back to address the full council. In 6 months, Humanity has advanced technologically by what would have taken us 50 years. We've developed faster than light. Communication, made breakthroughs in energy production and begun terraforming Mars. All because we had to. The council chamber was silent now, every representative hanging on her words. We come offering trade, cultural exchange, and yes, military alliance. Because if there's one thing humans excel at, it's adapting to overcome challenges. And we're very, very good at uniting against those who underestimate us. As the council erupted into discussion, Tay finally understood the colossal error he had made. He hadn't simply failed at conquering a primitive world. He had awakened a sleeping giant and accelerated its development by half a century. And now that giant was taking its first steps into the galactic community, not as a conquered species, but as equals, perhaps even as future leaders. The last thing Tay saw before being led away was Ambassador Sun in deep conversation with representatives from a dozen worlds, with more gathering to meet the newcomers. Earth wasn't just joining the galactic community, it was becoming its newest center of gravity. In his hubris, Tay had intended to make history with an easy conquest. He had succeeded in making history, just not in the way he had planned.